Over the Moon for You has found a new and refreshing way to amplify the insanity and adorableness that we've come to expect with Tonikawa. And the idea of the childhood friend who could be a love interest and the little sister that's not a little sister but is a little sister that just tries to troll you, usually that's in the in-between phase of before the main character ends up with whoever they've determined will be their girlfriend, or in the case of this, wife. And instead of having the childhood friend love interest be disappointed by not getting picked because, well, the main character decided on someone else or didn't see the clues, this man's already married. This man's already set his life in motion. And I love how, instead of breaking hearts left and right, we have a web of misunderstandings and they just keep piling on. This show is amazing. This was without a doubt the funniest episode of the series. Last week, peak anime adorableness. This week, peak comedy. I love the idea of Kaname and Aya because they easily could have been the most tropey and cliche additions to this show. You have that little sister who's a bit of a troll, may have a crush on our boy, but most likely is more of a troll than anything. And then you have Aya, who is this childhood friend who probably is romantically interested in our boy Nasa, but Nasa was too clueless to understand that he had a lot of options all these years. But the man had his mind set in stone of being with Tsukasa, and I respect the determination, and it kind of makes it feel like they are really meant to be, even if some hearts are going to be broken left and right. I absolutely love their additions because not only did you take literally a bath episode and turn it into an original idea, you had these two character archetypes be amazing. The little sister here, this little girl, Kaname, is amazing. She is obviously a bit of a creeper at times, peeping in on the boys and how she's like, oh, I'm just cleaning, don't mind me, or she'll look down at her boy's junk and make fun of him, and I'm like, oh man, this boy just can't catch a break. I love her insanity because you can tell she actually does have good intentions when it comes to the way she's acting with kind of realizing that this person she's known for so long randomly comes to the bathhouse one day and now is married. Don't you think you're moving too fast? Well, you've made your mind, treat her right. And I actually really like that determination because even though she's making fun of him and belittling him and just trolling him nonstop, I mean, she calls him a lolicon in this episode because she's 16. And I'm just like, oh my god, this episode has no chill. But I like the heart and the soul of what she was saying at the end of the day. Despite it being pure insanity, she's saying, you have no ring, you have no wedding ceremony. Make sure at the very least she is happy. That should be your first priority. And then he screams from the rooftop how much he loves her, and she walks out. And that could have been the most okay scene ever, her being like, okay, I'm embarrassed. But I love the sweetness because these two really are two peas in a pod. They are identical in a lot of ways with their mindset. And I love just how you have her being like, don't really scream it in the streets because it's embarrassing, but I did like it. And I'm like, oh, that's just like the Cupid arrow to the heart right there. It just melts your heart so much. And you really do like their growing bond because even though it's unconventional how they get married and stuff like I love you or seeing your wife naked is still like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm going to be able to see this. Or he feels like he has to go to a bathhouse to see that when he's married. I mean, it's just kind of like nature of the beast in terms of a lot of this stuff. It's just so interesting to see how they're taking a lot of ideas that should be fine on paper. I wouldn't say they're bad on paper or they're amazing on paper. The whole idea of starting a marriage like this and then just having a lot of these scenes that, are allowing him to experience forms of relationships he's never even imagined that he would. It's interesting how they're able to amplify it with this gorgeous presentation and these adorable voice actors. Like I've said, the character designs are a big factor on why so many things aren't cringy or horrible. You can look at a lot of what Nasa says in the episode, especially how he's getting excited about the bathhouse because maybe he'll be able to see his wife fresh out of the bath and, see the glistening hair and things like that. That could have been so cringy and creepy if it was any other character design, but because they made him cute and adorable and his persona is actually innocent and ignorant, you don't feel malicious intent from him in any which way, and I love that about his character and the direction the mangaka and as well the anime studio took to adapt this type of character and make him peak adorableness rather than creeper and stranger danger. I really did enjoy just how long of a conversation our boy had outside of the bathhouse before he could get in, because it was just nonstop comedy. It had me rolling nonstop. There was one point I had to just, sit back. I wasn't laughing, crying my eyes out. It was just it was so much to process, and I love that because it was just nonstop. And just to have our girl, being like, oh, it's my bath. It's for me. I get to do this all by myself. It's the perfect wedding gift. And then you meet Aya, and you knew it was going to be this like romantic tension, but I was curious to see because this series has clearly proved that it doesn't follow the conventional formula. And the idea of her persona is it's so Aya. I don't even know how I could compare it to other characters because she very much says things in ways that you kind of want to push her away, but then you also feel like she's innocent and she's kind of similar to Nasa. She just doesn't understand how to read the room. And just the nonstop things of how like she'll compare our girl's skin to an iPhone, and I'm like, no, don't do that. And she's like, don't do that. And our girl's just so nice, being like, yeah, I kind of took it as a compliment, but kind of back away, don't touch me. I have issues with people touching me, which I'm sure will be touched upon later, and probably will be a good growing moment for our boy when they do kind of get further into their relationships past hand-holding. But at the end of the day, just their back and forth interaction, you knew this wasn't going to go into the direction of her understanding that this is her crush's wife. I mean, there still is the potential that it's not a crush, but the fact that we had our girl Kaname saying, like, make sure Aya doesn't find out, says to me, especially because they were in the same class together, that she has some feelings and he just didn't understand that for so long. But even if he did, I don't think he would have committed, because based on the intro of this show, it feels like he's very much like, no matter what happens in my life, that's who I want to be with, or I'd rather be with no one. And I think that's really romantic, and even though if it's a little unconventional, it just brings a giant grin to your face, and you love that dynamic. And the whole misunderstanding of her saying, yeah, well, I guess I'm family, and her thinking, oh, it's a sister, and then he's like, okay, I see where this is going, yeah, totally family. But the thing is, our boy was on a roll. I feel like he understood how this misunderstanding happened, and he's so ignorant to the idea of complimenting other women and how that could provide for jealousy that he assumes that the reason she's getting so flustered is because they're passing a wedding ceremony, when she just wants to be complimented that she's beautiful. And then he runs off to buy her, hopefully, a wedding dress and, arrange a ceremony. And she's like, can't you just call me cute? And I'm like, oh my god, these goofballs are amazing. I love how precious this show is, despite having so many opportunities to not be precious and to go into territory that people are going to roll their eyes at. But I think the big factor is how ignorant these two are to so many things, and the character designs are so sweet and innocent. You don't really feel malicious intent from either one of them, which makes these scenes just, you want to hug these goofballs and say, it's going to work out for you guys, just give it time. I love the food situation, how she's this really good cook and he's this very scientific cook. Hey, make hot pot every day. It tastes the same, but it's the best for a growing boy here. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm going to make you some good food. And just the smugness of her face and the blown awayness of his. You can't help but love the simple moments, and this could have just been a simple episode of just non-stop, just daily household activities, but the bath episode turned into the most refreshing and interesting bath episode I have ever seen in anime, and I've seen quite a few. Granted, most are pretty shit, but there's been a couple that have been able to twist it up on its head, but this is my personal favorite one, I think, for sure. And honestly, this is great. I mean, at the end of the episode, we have seemingly a rich girl saying, oh, seemingly her sister, but at the same time, I'm not sure if they're going the direction of, like, that's actually a sister, because there's a lot of things happening in anime where, like, you kind of get the whole, like, Nissan and things like that, but really, they're just childhood friends or something. So it could be that, I'm not sure, because generally when it comes to, like, anime siblings, they look very, very similar. The facial designs don't look all that similar, so I'm curious what that is. I'm not sure if there's malicious intent there. I mean, you never can really take anything at face value in this show because it's just going to lead to a misunderstanding. So I'm really excited for the very end of the episode and seemingly what she's going to do, if it's going to be wholesome or corrupt, but even if it tries to be corrupt, the show can't commit to it for too long. I think the show had a lot of, like, unique faces. I mean, they went so derpy with so many characters' faces being shocked and in awe, and it left me laughing quite a bit. The show just gets better with time, like a aged wine. I can't wait to see where they're going to take it. It just feels like it's continuing to improve non-stop. And everything I love about this is just getting better with time, and I can't wait to see episode 4 next week. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Your favorite moment? And what did you think of this take of the bath episode? Because how does it compare to those in the past? Let me know your thoughts. Of course, be sure to leave a like to show your support and hit that subscribe button if you have been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.